Shalom Israel, and welcome to another edition of YAHAWAH's 20-minute breakdown, where I'll attempt to break down the scriptures within 20 minutes. But first and foremost, as always, you know how we do. We give all praises to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Waha, Rakah, Kadash, and the Yakims and the elders in the highways and byways pushing this word in truth and sincerity. All praises. And the elder women teaching the younger women. All praises to you too. And the camps and the solo brothers going out there, making videos, edifying the body, pushing the truth according to scriptures. All praises. Now, the topic I want to touch on today, I'm going to start with my opening verse, which will be Isaiah 55 and verse 8. Reason why, because Yahawah, the Lord Yahawah, is pure genius. And that's the topic of this lesson today, is the Lord Yahawah is pure genius. Now, how he set up this, what we see today, how it's playing out, it's pure genius. And I'll explain as we go into the lesson, yeah? Because it's funny, because Sabbath gone, yeah? Sabbath just gone, you know, I was called a racist by a Caucasian man. Why? For teaching the truth of the Bible and for no longer accepting Christianity. So I no longer subscribe to your religion, how your religion has destroyed the minds of my people, our people, which is the blacks, the Hispanics, and the Native American, which makes up the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And also you do have them speckled birds, meaning some people that would look Caucasian, but if their forefathers go right back to, you know, one of the sons of Jacob, then, you know, you're an Israelite. You're not a Caucasian because you are the seed of your father. So nevertheless, yeah. So I was called a racist for reading the Bible and pushing the truth, because I'm not loving everybody. I'm not welcoming everybody. I'm only saying according to scripture, because when you look at this Bible was by the Israelites, to the Israelites, for the Israelites. There's no other nation that salvation is promised to apart from the Israelites. That's it. There's no two ways about that. And when you start talking the truth, you are hated. Yeah? You know, and even some of our own people come against us for not including Esau. And it's funny because you can exclude the Arab man, the Chinese man, you know, the Indian man, and no one has a problem with that. Soon as you exclude Esau, aka the Caucasian, everything is in uproar. Because some of our people can't live unless they have Esau, you know, the Caucasians with them. But they don't realize this book, this Bible, is for you. Only was and only will be. But the reason why I say Yahawah is pure genius, like the Lord Yahawah is pure genius, is how he's making this play out. And when you think about what has happened to us and saying, to hell with the Christian doctrine, yeah? To hell with Islam, because those are the main two religions that we find our people in. Christianity, the biggest, Islam, you know, is the next. The Muslim and Islam is the next. They're all white men religion at the end of the day. Because when you go look at all the religions, like the main one was Roman Catholic Church, yeah? That was set up by Caucasians. And then you have the spin-offs from the Roman Catholic Church, which is the Baptist religion. Then you got the Pentecostal. Then you got the Mormons. Then you got the Jehovah Witness. Then you got the Seventh-day Adventists. All those are spin-off from the Roman Catholic Church, yeah? So they're all Caucasian religions. We shouldn't be in them. And also, when you even look at it, you got Islam, yeah? The Muslim religion, yeah? Now, that also was started by a Caucasian, because when you go into the Hadith, 63, I believe, tells you that Muhammad was a white man. That's what it says in the hadith, yeah? Muhammad was a white man. So they're all Caucasian religions that we're in, and we shouldn't be in them. Now I'm going to start this lesson with Isaiah 55 and verse 8, and then I'm going to go through some other scriptures, and I'm going to talk about this thing because, like, Yahawah is pure genius. How he's set this thing up and how he's used the other nations, like, for our demise, but at the same thing, he's used them to expose themselves also, to show the wickedness and the lies in that nation that we trust in. It's beautiful how it's playing out, because it's not over yet. There's a long way to go, yeah? But, well, I hope there's not a long way to go, because who am I? I don't know, but I'm just speaking as a man. So I'm going to start my timer, and then I'm going to read Isaiah 55 verse 8 first, and then, we're going to go through some scriptures, and then we're going to see how this is playing out. So without further ado, I got my timer, and I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1. Boom, we're away. Let's go there. I'm going to go straight to the book of Isaiah, chapter 55 and verse 8, and it reads, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith Yahawah." So that's who's speaking. He's showing you that he don't think like us. His ways are higher than our ways, which is so true. Yeah, which is so true. Now, watch this now. Now, the Bible that we know as today as the Bible was translated in many different languages, because the Most High knew for our disobedience we'd go into slavery. And when you go into slavery and you're colonized, what happens? The slave masters and the people that colonize you, what do? They take away your culture, your language, and everything that you were known as a people, and you're given a new identity, new language, yeah? So now, in that saying, now, just like me, I'm an Israelite. I can't speak fluent Hebrew. I know a few words, but I can't speak fluent Hebrew. My first language is English. So the Most High has made sure the Bible, by our same enemies that took us into slavery and oppressed us, the Most High has made sure that they have translated it into a language that now I can understand and read. Because you've got to remember, back in the day, when we were slaves, we weren't allowed to read. And if your slave master was a Pentecostal, you had to be a Pentecostal. If your slave master was a Baptist, you had to be a Baptist. And what happened is, they had so-called black churches. I'll use that word black because I don't like using that term, because we're not black, we're different shades of brown. But they would have, in the black churches, you'll have the overseer, which is a Caucasian, making sure the pastor, he is set up to teach the other slaves, yeah? Make sure that they only teach what they're told to teach, yeah? So, and when you look at it like that, the white overseer in the so-called black church, it's the same today. But now, what are they known as? They are known as theologian school and seminary school, which is set up by Rome, aka Caucasians. So if you don't learn the Bible the way they want you to learn it, you will not be ordained a minister or a priest, and you won't be a head of the church. So that is the modern day overseer, which is the seminary schools and our theologian schools that you see pastors learning under today, and pushing that same deadbeat doctrine that we had from slavery all the way down to now. But brothers are waking up. Now, watch this now. I want to show you something. I want to read the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 14, verses 20 to 21, because this is Ezra, which is Ezra's, and Ezra is the same person. It's Ezra's, it's just Greek. But Ezra, you'll find Ezra in the Old Testament, and the book of 1st Ezra and 2nd Ezra, you'll find in the Apocrypha, which is part of the Old Testament, which was removed in the 18th century. Yeah? Now, because this is the thing. Watch this. I'm going to read this first, and I'm going to explain. This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 14, verse 20. And it reads, this is Ezra's, yeah? It says, "Behold, Lord, I will go," because the Most High has told Ezra to go and teach his people. Yeah? Now, that's just want to give you that context. Watch this. "Behold, Lord, I will go, as thou hast commanded me, and reprove the people which are present." So he's got to go and reprove, teach, correct the people that are present to him, that are there at that time, so he can go to. "And reprove the people which are present." But listen to this. He says, "But they that shall be born afterwards, who shall admonish them?" So Ezra saying that, but those people that come after me, who's going to admonish them? But it's going to say why. Watch this. "Thus the world is set in darkness, and they that dwell therein are without light." Verse 21 is key. Listen to this. 2nd Ezra chapter 14 verse 21. "For thy law is burnt." Now that's why he asks, so who's going to reprove them afterwards? Because the Babylonians were destroying the Bible, which would have been just a compilation of the Old Testament. Yeah, like, and with the Apocrypha, but the Old Testament. Because why? You got to remember, all those men like Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the Messiah, Paul even, none of them were teaching from the New Testament because those books weren't written. Paul wasn't teaching from the book of Romans or the book of Galatians or Colossians because they weren't written. They were letters he was writing to the church. So they weren't written. So every prophet in the Bible, every prophet, they only taught out the Old Testament because that's all that was there. Yeah, the New Testament was compiled a lot later. Yeah, now watch this. Let me take it at verse 21 again. 2nd Ezra chapter 14 verse 21, and it reads, For thy law is burnt, therefore no man knoweth the things that are done of thee, or the work that shall begin. So, see that? So the Babylonians were destroying the Bible. Why is that? Because the Babylonians, they knew. See, when the Babylonians took Israel, the Israelites, into captivity, they knew this book was pertaining to the Israelites. They knew it wasn't pertaining to them. So they were destroying it so they can have the Israelites under total subjection. They were destroying the Bible. So this is why Ezra now was asking that question, because the law is burned. So when you read on in that same 2nd Ezra 14, the Most High puts a spirit upon Ezra to rewrite all that was written before, aforetime and so forth. Don't want to go into that because that would eat up too much of my time. Now, that was the Babylonian era. Now, when you fast forward now to Antiochus under the Greek captivity, same thing started to progress. Now, watch this, yeah? 1st Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41, and it reads, Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Verse 42, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Verse 43, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. So now you see, when we just jumping forward, I'm just quickly skipping to show you something. When we jump to the Greek captivity now, where the Israelites were like in subjection under the Greeks, you can see again a same thing. They were being kept from their laws, and if they professed to be Jews or try to keep the laws or the Sabbath, they were being put to death. So they couldn't circumcise their children and so forth. So there again, you can see they were withheld from keeping their laws, their statutes, their commandments that the Most High gave them. Now, when we jump now down to now after the Greeks were, done over by the Romans, Rome comes into power. Now watch this, yeah? I'm going to read Acts chapter 16 and verse 19. Watch this. Acts chapter 16 verse 19, and it reads, "And when her master saw that the hope of their gain was gone." Now, this was Paul and the others. What happened is there was a person that had a spirit upon them, and this spirit now was making their master get a lot of gain. But now, when they had healed her and got the spirit out of her, now she was back. Oh, I think it was a she, but nevertheless, that person was back to their normal self. So now that master of that person no longer was getting all that gain, because that spirit now wasn't, that evil spirit now wasn't upon that person. Now watch this, yeah? I'll take it from 19 again. Acts chapter 16 verse 19. "And when her master," it was a lady. There you go, see? "And when her master saw that the hope of their gain was gone, they caught Paul and Silas and drew them into the marketplace unto the rulers," verse 20, "and brought them to the magistrates, saying, These men, being Jews, do exceedingly trouble our city." Listen to verse 21 carefully. "And teach customs which are not lawful for us to receive, neither to observe, being Romans." So you see, even they knew as well that this Bible didn't pertain to them. It pertained to the Jews. Those laws that the Most High gave, they understood that this was for the Jews, yeah? And the Israelites. Now, when we fast forward now to slavery and all that, remember, then, a lot has happened. Then when the Roman Empire disbanded, they dispersed, and now they are hiding under different names, like the Germans and all that. They're hiding under different names, which they are Romans, but they no longer call themselves Romans. Just like in Rome today, they call themselves Italians, yeah? And the British and so forth, they all disbanded, French and all that. They are all them same people, yeah? Now, they have, now when, what do you call it? Now, when you look, and then you have the Masoretes now coming on the scene, because now at that point now they have converted to Judaism in the 6th century, and they've taken on our laws, our customs, and they've now calling themselves Jews and so forth, yeah? Now they started to read out of our book and keep up certain of our customs. Now slavery comes into play now, because we fell badly. So now the Most High, when you read Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, sent us into slavery. Now, into slavery, get to the new worlds that we never known, come off them ships. Now we are being indoctrinated with Christianity, which Christianity came about around about the 1st, 2nd century. These new converts, let me get that point. These new converts now started up Christianity, and they kept certain customs, but they wasn't holding fast the law, statute, commandments. Because when you look at Christianity today, they're on this belief system. Believe in the Messiah, you will be saved. They don't keep no laws, no statutes, no commandments. Just belief. Faith, faith, faith. That's what they teach. Yeah? Now, why I say the Most High is pure genius? Because of this. You know what? Let me just read this first. Watch this. I'm going to jump to where are we? I'm going to jump to the book of Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians. Watch this. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 10, and it reads, "And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth." That was us, because we perished, because we didn't want to keep the laws anymore. So the Most High said, if we don't want to serve him, we're going to serve our enemies, yeah? Let me read on. "Because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved." Verse 11, watch this. "And for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusions, that they should believe a lie." Now, he sent us strong delusions, and also our enemies strong delusions, and I'll explain. Our strong delusions that we end up in Christianity, and we started to believe this lie that We no longer have to keep the laws. All we got to do is live by faith and grace. Strong delusions that the Caucasians received, that they believed that salvation now was for them. Why? Because of Paul's writings. See, when Paul's writings now came on the scene, and they were, like part of all, like you have like the New Testament now, the Gospels come on the scene. Now, that's the delusion now that was sent to the other nations, believing that salvation was for them. Yeah? Now watch this, yeah? I'm going to quickly read 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 15. Listen to this, yeah? 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 15, and it reads, "And account that the long-suffering of our Lord is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul, also according to the wisdom given unto him, has written unto you." Verse 16, "As also in all his epistles," which are all his letters, "speaking in them of these things, in which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable wrest." So they wrestle with them scriptures, "as they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction." Now, when Paul came on the scene now, this is why I say the Most High is genius. Because when Paul comes on the scene, the Most High makes Paul write the way he writes. Now, it wasn't in Paul's intention, but the way Paul writes, Paul makes it seem to say that all nations now can be grafted in. Yeah? Because you got to remember, when you look, why I read those other verses prior, like earlier in the lesson, like under the Babylonians, the Greeks, and the Romans before the empire disbanded, they all knew that this book, the Bible, was for the Israelites. So they kept us from it the best way they could. The Babylonians was destroying it. Antiochus made a decree that, you keep these laws, statutes, commandments, you'll be put to death. Remember, in the Roman era, before Paul was converted, he was going around persecuting all Israelites that was keeping the commandments. He was persecuting them and getting them put to death. And he had the Romans backing, the ethnic Romans. He had their backing to do this. So he's ordained by them to do this, yeah? But now when he was converted he now started to, know what he should do, and now go to these people and now teach. But he now had to teach the Messiah, which is Christ, yeah? Because a lot of them didn't believe on him and didn't know about him, yeah? So that's what Paul came teaching. So when you see Paul's letters now, that is now the misconception, and that's the deceivableness that has been put on the other nations. Because now, the way how Paul was writing it, the Most High made Paul write this way to make all nations believe, yeah, that salvation is for them. Now what happens is, with them believing salvation's for them, they now made this book readily available. What they started to do, print these books, the Bible, on a mass scale, made it affordable for even the poor man now can afford a Bible and read for themselves. See the plan, the master plan of the Most High. But you see, Paul was not teaching that everybody can get salvation. Paul was only teaching that, his people. And the elders like Peter and all that knew this. But there were some people that didn't know this, that are doing what the Christian church do today. Now watch this. I'm going to quickly jump to what? I'm going to show you that. Acts, watch this. Acts chapter 21, verse 20 to 24. Listen to this. Acts chapter 21, verse 20. And it reads, "And when they heard it, they glorified YAHAWAH and said unto him, Thou seest, brother, how many thousands of Jews," hear that? Jews there are which believe and are all zealous of the law. So they not only believed on the Mashiach Yahawashi, they were all zealous of the law. So they had faith and works. They were keeping the law and had faith in the one you call Christ, YAHAWAH. So it said that they were all zealous of the law. They believed and were zealous of the law. Now watch this, verse 21. And they are informed of thee, that thou teachest all the Jews which are among the Gentiles, showing you that Paul was only going to Jews that were amongst the Gentiles, to forsake Moses, saying they ought not to circumcise their children, neither to walk after the customs. So you see, Paul was accused by some of these others that he's going teaching against what Moses taught. And to forsake Moses, you will be inviting all nations into the promise, to be grafted in, to keep the laws, and that salvation is open to you. That's how you forsake Moses, because Moses wasn't teaching that. Moses only taught the Israelites. The promises and everything was only to Israel. And when you even go to Romans chapter 9, verses from 3 to about from about 3 to about, say, 6 or 7, you'll show. Even Paul is teaching that too, that it's only for the Israelites, everything. But you see, by the misconception of Paul's writings, people thought that he was inviting non-Israelites, into like the covenant, the promises, and to get salvation. Let me read on, I'll read verse 21 again. Acts chapter 21, verse 21, and it reads, And they are informed of thee, that thou teachest all the Jews which are among the Gentiles to forsake Moses, saying that they ought not to circumcise their children, neither to walk after the customs. Now listen to this, verse 22, and it reads, What is it therefore? The multitude must need come together, for they will hear that thou art come. Now watch this, verse 23. Do therefore that which we say to thee. We have 4 men which have a vow on them. That vow is a vow of a Nazarite. Verse 24. So that Paul is going to be put at charge of these 4 men. Verse 24, take them and purify thyself with them, and be at charge with them, that they may shave their heads. And listen to this, and all may know that those things whereof they were informed concerning thee are nothing, but that thou thyself also walkest orderly and keepeth the law. So you see, this was to prove to the people that what you're hearing about him inviting all nations to the covenant, teaching Gentiles, as in ethnic Gentiles, is not true. That's what that was to prove. But notice how Paul's elders didn't say, oh, we heard this. Is that true? Are you actually doing this? They knew he wasn't. This is why Peter warned you that Paul's writings are hard to be understood. But the Most High made it that way, because if he hadn't made it like the kingdoms, like the Babylonians, the Greeks, and the Roman Empire, if he had made them understand that this word was only for the Israelites, they would have done the same thing, destroyed the Bible. So when we would have gotten the same slave ships and all that, we couldn't, and we get into the new world, the Bible wouldn't have been readily available to us. We couldn't afford it. Probably would have been, if there were Bibles still, it would have been so much out of our price range, like what they've done with the Russian icons. A few grands or whatever. So it's so much out your price range you couldn't afford it. Then you have to go to a priest to hear what's in it. And that would have been our downfall still, because we'd have been stuck in them Christian churches, learning that deadbeat doctrine and being lied to by our oppressors still to this day. Yeah, that's what would have happened. Yeah. So you see the genius, how the Most High has bamboozled, or shall I say, has bushwhacked them. What he's done to the Caucasians, he's put a carrot on a string and he's dangled it in front of them. Like when you're on a donkey and you put a carrot on a stick on a string and you dangle it in front of the donkey. The donkey keeps walking forward trying to get the carrot, but he will never get that carrot. That's just to keep him fooled so he can keep moving, so you can get to where you need to be. That's what he's done with the Caucasians. And that is pure genius. So they think now salvation is open to them, because now they always run to Paul's writings. But Paul's writings are hard to be understood. They don't understand Paul's writings. But yet, they think it's for them, so they haven't banned the Bible, and it's still readily available. So we can now get this word. I'm about to time out now, so I hope you got something with that. This is Yasharallah, about to time out. With that, we out.